Greetings, I am Pari from ANON Talks. And let me tell you a secret today. Parents are not superheroes. Maybe a lot of you already know this, and this is a very obvious fact to some of you. But if I told my younger self this, she would definitely have a hard time believing it. Because as kids, we often perceive our parents as people who know everything, and people who are good at everything, people who know what is right for them, who know what is best for their children. But really, they're also just humans too. Today, I want to talk about gratitude. What is gratitude? A feeling of wanting to thank someone, says Oxford Dictionary. A mix of love and appreciation. A lot of people say it's a feeling that comes naturally, but I believe it's a skill. Thank you is not an easy word. And I find it very hard to thank my parents. Very ashamed to admit this, but I find it easier to thank a stranger who holds the door for me for 2 seconds than to thank the people who have always held my hand, and will continue to do so throughout their life. And a lot of teens experience this. But why is the question? Why is gratitude such a difficult expression, especially when it comes to thanking our own parents? When I sort of analyzed this problem, I could think of 2 reasons. One is that from what I have experienced, I think that one reason is that we as a generation are becoming more and more emotionally distant from our parents. We become so emotionally disconnected from them because of all the reasons like generation gap, social media, etc. etc. But let's not go too deep into that today, because the other reason is what requires more attention. It is something that I like to call the gratitude dilemma. It is this constant push and pull in my mind where sometimes I feel very thankful to my parents for sponsoring all of my needs and wants, for always wanting the best for me. But other times I feel, isn't this just the bare minimum? I did not make the conscious choice to be born. They made that decision. So isn't it simply their responsibility to ensure that I have a comfortable life until I can grow up and earn? Isn't all of this simply their duty because they chose to have me? Right? But then I pause. I remind myself that they are also just humans too, right? They are people who are also just like us. They always want the best for their children. They might not always get it right, but their intentions are always the best. We as kids sometimes fail to understand their intentions. We sometimes mistake their healthy control for harshness, strictness, etc. But we fail to understand that they always want the best life for their children. They might not always know how to express and execute it. Because parenting is a skill. It's not an inborn talent, and it's not something that you can just inherit from your parents. You have to learn it. And sadly, parenting is not taught. And a lot of parents, they don't even make the conscious choice to be parents. They do so simply because of family expectations, societal pressure, or simply because it's what comes next. And parenting is a skill that is highly experience based. It's you learn it by living it skill. You learn to become a parent by becoming a parent. And in the process, it's okay to make mistakes, right? And sometimes we think that they're making mistakes in parenting us. But it's actually, all of it is just harsh, seems harsh, but is actually healthy. And sometimes they do actually make mistakes. But I think we really need to normalize that. Because they too are living life for the first time, without a manual, just like us. So, thank you, dear parents, for being humans. Thank you for raising this human, for bringing this human into the world. And thank you for making mistakes and raising me. Thank you for letting me make mistakes. Thank you for simply everything. And this is your reminder to go and thank your parents. Thank you.